You got to remember that Saigon and that whole area had been essentially controlled for 20 years by the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese. They have the South Vietnamese army. They didn't want to go too far out and take them on because they couldn't handle them, which is why we had the Big Red Division with Harry joining forces. So they went out on a search and patrol mission, search and destroy. And one of the interesting things that Harry said in a little note I saw was the terrain is so varied. In some cases it's open, like you saw the rice paddies, you can kill people easily there, but you often get caught in dense vegetation. Harry was a grenadier, which means he carried an M113 grenade launcher. It's like a hand grenade. It looks like a shell, but it can go 350 yards. It's great if you're in open terrain. Well, the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong are the best tunnel makers in the world, and they want to make sure that you can't bring in artillery or air power, so they're going to try to ambush you. And that's exactly what happened to Harry's unit. They were ambushed. And as Harry would note, the M79 wasn't really worth a lot.
Not in the jungle.
And almost immediately, Harry got shot pretty significantly on the hip and shrapnel in the thigh because the Vietnamese, particularly the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong, used booby traps. A lot of times there are shells, they booby trapped from tripwire. So Harry was the victim of a booby trap early in the game. It is of note that because you're usually outnumbered and they don't take you on unless they think they can beat you, and they had a lot of casualties. And Harry, without his M79, took the best weapon in the world, I think, is the M40, the 45 caliber rifle. It'll knock anybody down, take an arm off, and that's what he used to help defend the troops while they pulled back to be in a position where Harry could actually be evacuated, taken care of medically. That was the first Purple Heart he got. The second one was again with the 1st Infantry Division, and it was one of the largest operations that we've had in Vietnam. It was actually Junction City was the operation. It was northwest of Saigon towards the Cambodian border, and as you well know, Cambodian border was the Ho Chi Minh Trail. That's how the troops infiltrated, the North Vietnamese, the resupply came in there. Plus, a lot of people don't remember, but the Viet Cong fought the French for 8 years in the same piece of terrain. They knew the terrain, they had tunnel networks, they had supply caches of ammunition. So they were not small potatoes. And the Viet Cong, as a matter of fact, a lot of times you think you see them as just kind of the black pajama kind of guerrilla. They were a division-sized unit that Harry's 1st Division went against. It was the 9th Viet Cong Division, and they had with them a North Vietnamese Regular Army Regiment. So it was a pretty large force. Harry's division fortunately had the 25th Army Division with them. They also had 4 South Vietnamese Army battalions with them, a total of about 25,000 troops. And they were going after, and they actually destroyed about 4 of the Viet Cong regiments during that operation. But it was open terrain this time. So this time Harry doesn't get shot from a bush, he gets a mortar round coming in and slammed him on the wrist. And during that operation, it was an incredible operation, and it was much like an open terrain. And you're talking about a Viet Cong division. They're not just with rifles, they've got artillery, they've got mortars. And later on, a year later, I'm up north with the North Vietnamese, and they have tanks. So they were not just lightly armed terrorists that kind of walked through the villages and shot at you from time to time. It was a serious operation, great outcome, and Harry's 2nd Purple Heart was won, and he didn't get evacuated. I don't think anybody did. They bandaged him up, and with everything in Vietnam, you're going to guarantee it's going to become infected. And by the time he got back to the rear after the operation was finished, the infection had gone through its cycle, he was good to go. So in both cases, Harry survived 2 Purple Hearts. Not survived though, but he contributed. You know, we lost 58,000 troops in Vietnam, 150,000 wounded. And we were there for 8 years. And I think what we all come back with is the memories of captains that led them, PFCs. He actually was an APC driver during the last operation, Junction City, and that's a APC 113 armored personnel carrier. So he went from a rifle to, so he was obviously going uphill. He was going to be in a tank next time, I'm sure. But we need to be, we are so proud of Harry and glad that he's here with his family. And it just brings back memories of a very low-tech warfare. I'm thinking about him getting caught in an ambush. It was low-tech. I've got a cell phone in my car that would have told me better how to relieve my company in Vietnam. I climbed trees to figure out where the hell I was. Because when you get ambushed, you want to call in artillery and air, and you want to make sure it's not on you. So we've gone a long way, but I still think that despite high tech, that basic warfare will not change, Harry. What you did is being done by kids in Afghanistan, and we've got a lot of great sophisticated weaponry, but basic combat Marine and combat soldier is alive and well, trust me. So I'm pleased that Senator Flake invited me to be part of it, because I kind of know where you've been. I know that you think about your buddies and the ones that didn't come back, but you certainly are our hero in being awarded 2 Purple Hearts.
Thank you.
Thank you.